So, so let's also try to see that, if we can bring on some case studies and examples for our audience so that they understand, what precisely we meant by saying the criticality of AI in the area of ERP and the compliance. So could you share a few examples where ERP and AI have successfully embedded compliance, right? So, Pani, I want you to start with giving
Yep.
some case studies, some examples from your experience, please.
Yes. Yes. Enterprise adopting ERP automations have cut reconciliation time by 40%. And that trend is going to keep increasing with the day-to-day advancements of AI embedded in the ERP systems, I would say. And also we have seen real-time, real-world dashboards that provides auditable ESG metrics and workflow approvals and automated disclosures, and pretty much aligned with all the complaints that I called earlier. And let me share one of the case study, and before I jump into some examples, the case study, I would say one of our the largest manufacturing client. They are like a global manufacturing company, and they had a regional 9 regional ERPs and growing, and it's a kind of a growing SOX compliance burden for them. And by integrating an AI-powered controls monitoring tool into their ERP systems, they were able to reduce audit report time, audit report preparation time by 40%, and they cut their compliance exceptions by 30%. That means 30% of the penalties, whatever they had so far, that's been right away reduced to 30%. And their CFO team and CFO had access to the real-time dashboards of compliance status up to dated, just to ensure that they meet all the requirements. And if I go more deeper into some of the examples where AI is embedded into ERP systems, I would say one is it will reduce the manual intervention in financial transactions and order processing, and also the HR workflows, just by automating the repetitive tasks, and enhancing decision-making capability across the business stakeholders. Like it leverages the data-driven insights for financial forecasting and demand planning, and implementing AI-powered chatbots and virtual assistants. That's something we are seeing most commonly large enterprises started adopting already, and to handle all the user queries. So it reduced a lot of significant time in clarifying and getting help in terms of avoiding the internal follow-ups. And it also improves the user experience, and also detect fraud, anomalies, and any kind of compliance risk proactively. That strengthen the security and compliance by adapting this AI into the ERP systems. And most importantly, the ERP systems has its own standard performance optimization process, but by adding AI to fine-tune their existing system performance, and it reduces the downtime, it's a more robust and real-time in sync, and it will give a clear view of how it was in the past and with the current trends and then futuristic, so that organization can prepare how the performance of their existing ERP system is going to be, so that they can plan well in advance with the increase of the size and the load capacity. And some of if I stretch divided into financial management and supply chain. So if you take any of the business other than the non-profit organizations, pretty much all the business divided into financials and supply chain side. So from a financial transactions point of view, there are so many, numerous repetitive tasks that AI can handle just by automate, like invoice processing using AI-based OCR. Like in Oracle applications, we have a OCR, optical character recognition, and also the predictive analytics for cash flow forecasting. That's something it can be achieved with using AI embedded into ERP systems. And AI powered fraud detection to identify suspicious transactions. That means once the transaction has been created and updated and modified. And earlier, unless we have audit trails enabled, if it's a form-based ERP, they really don't know that. But with the AI on top of the existing ERPs, it's easy for them to detect if is there any suspicious transactions have ever occurred with tracing the timelines too. And from a supply chain management point of view, I would say it enhances by embedding AI into ERP system. It enhances the supply chain operations within the ERP system just by predicting demand fluctuations and using historical data and the market trends. So that really helps them to analyze the demand and forecasting and how much they need to maintain the inventory and what the price range is going to be and how the market trends is changing in terms of the raw material cost and finished goods and stuff. And if they if any organization they want to rely just only in the ERP, they have to run multiple reports and compare and export the reports, combine it and explore and manually do some sort of calculations and observations. But having AI embedded into that, that's something it's going to be robustic and real time. Within a fraction of seconds, they can get all the automated demand fluctuations forecasting. And similarly, automating procurement process, which reducing the supplier related risk. That's another most important thing that AI can bring value to the ERP systems, and optimizing the warehouse management with AI-driven inventory tracking. So these are the core areas I can say from a financial management and supply chain management side, how embedding AI into ERP systems can bring a value. And on top of it, it's not just about the transactions, it's also about the visibility of the transactions and the trustworthy of the transactions and the slice and dice of the transactions with the forecasting and for decision making purpose. So there are tremendous advantages, not just by spending a huge amount of time and money by creating a number of reports and manually spending hours and hours to identify these. But with AI embedding in ERP, that's something it's right away achievable, and within no time they can get the results.
Thanks, Pani. Again, that essentially talks about the quicker results, and then obviously bringing a lot of transparency to the system, which by itself, compliance part can be addressed very easily, right? So, Murthy, what do you think? I believe, you have some examples and case studies for our audience, please.
Yes, Subho. Thanks for the question. It's very, very important question. Thanks, Pani, for very, very illustrative examples that you provided. Maybe I'll add to what Pani said. Whether it is a manufacturing customer or a service-oriented customer, most of the financial processes are almost similar. So the example that I would like to talk about is from a services sector, the customer, where they are present in, I would say in about 28 to 30 countries in the world, where they are, because of the intercompany, transaction, that complexity that they do have, they are looking for the tools to help them in terms of closing the books within those regions on time. Because if you look at on one hand, the headquarters has got one financial year, maybe the subsidiary companies do have multiple, financial years as well, because there is a complexity there. That is one complexity that will always come whenever companies acquire companies within continents and outside of those continents, where the financial systems and the guidelines are also different, right? Where using the AI tools, we were able to bring all the data into a single, I would say, knowledge base, if I use the word, or knowledge lake. And this particular comprise of multiple data lakes. And using the tools that we are having within the AI/ML, we are able to create our own language model and the prompt engines in such a way that using those prompts, we were able to get a lot of insights for the financial professionals to get all the information that needed rather than them going through several thousands and thousands of voluminous documentation. That is what one example I can provide. It is helping, and it is actually also reducing the number of financial professionals that they need to work only on the manual interventions to get these insights. Thereby, these professionals can focus on what is strategic in nature rather than doing these repetitive tasks. That's one example, right? The second example is where one of the manufacturing customers we do have, they have accounts payables, accounts receivables to multiple customers as well as multiple vendors being happening. And they do have multiple reports that they need to create at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, where let's say you have an accounts receivable or accounts payable task that needs to be done, where all this data needs to be entered into multiple systems, where after entering, again, there is a manual check being done, just from accuracy perspective, as well as from a reporting perspective as well. So the tools that are inbuilt in the Oracle ERP, which is embedded in the current ecosystem, is able to help in that from that perspective as well. And also from payment posting and matching perspective, that the tools are able to help this customer to an extent. But this work is still in progress. There is a lot to be achieved. But with the progress that we made in the last few months, the transparency has been achieved to an extent, as well as the accuracy of the data. And also the manual errors have been brought to the minimal state as well. So if you look at it from that perspective, to summarize, AI not only helping reducing the human intervention and also giving the reconciliation or any other optimization in terms of efficiency gains by more than 40 to 50%, by also using the continuous monitoring tools that are actually given through the AI, it's not only reducing the time, but also preventing the errors, and thereby building the trust with the auditors and the regulators as well. So what that means, to summarize it, it is shifting the compliance being a core or a burden to becoming a strategic advantage to financial professionals. Thereby, the organizations can be compliant faster as well as more accurate as well.